Hey everyone, welcome back. Tonight is the night. It's Friday night in the shop, and I figured what better night to get this Stihl 026 red lever, if that means something, I'm still not sure, running. First off, though, I want to wish a happy birthday to my daughter Charlie. As you guys are seeing this, my daughter is 2 years old. Wow, did that go by fast. She went from a little baby crawling around to making sentences now and turning into a little person. So happy birthday, baby. Daddy loves you. And hopefully you're having an awesome day. Okay, friends. So last thing on this saw is to put the muffler on. And remember, we're going to start this with the chain brake on so the clutch doesn't come flying off. I'm going to bring you guys in. Let's put the muffler on, and then I haven't fueled this. I haven't tried to start it. I haven't done anything to it. We're going to do it on film. Let's see how many pulls. I like a brand new saw to start 4 or 5 pulls. If it doesn't, I usually get a little bit concerned. So we'll go through that together. But let's mount the muffler, and I'm going to show you guys my muffler mod that I always do to these, or I did back in the day. I used to build these all the time. This is probably the 10th or 11th one I've had in go through my shop. So not as many as some people, but I definitely have experience with these things. This was my first pro saw, and by pro saw I mean magnesium crankcase and you know, an actual legit pro saw. I remember when I got my first one, it was my neighbor's saw. My 025 blew up, which is what I originally had when we moved here. I pulled out my neighbor's 026 that had been sitting under my bench for years. He ended up moving, and I was storing a bunch of his stuff. Went to start it, and it had no compression, and I went, well, this is no good. Anyways, I called him up and said, hey, that saw of yours, it's blowing up. What do you want to do with it? And he's like, you can have it. So that was about 10 years ago, and that kind of started my saw rebuilding obsession, and here we are. Okay, bring you guys in. Let's put the muffler on, and I'll show you guys the muffler mod that I do. I've had good luck with this over the years, and anybody can do this. It's really easy. Okay, now first thing I'm going to say, clean the inside of your muffler. Okay, I ground on this a little bit. These things, homeowner saws are notorious for not running proper mix. You know, guys are running heavy oil or old school oil or the wrong oil, and they also don't warm their saws up, or they use it to cut one branch and that's it. I think there's a direct link between the Stihl oil leaving a lot of carbon. You guys know what I'm talking about. A lot of you guys have said you've noticed that over the years. And homeowner saws not being warmed up. I don't see it as bad on pro level saws, and I think the reason for that is that pro guys tend to run their saws for longer. And anyways, just something I've noticed. Warm your saw up, get it warm. It'll run better, and it'll save you in the long run. Okay, let's see if I can get this. Right here, I'm going to get down on my knees and see if we can get this on here without taking the top cover off. I put the top cover on in the last video because I was all excited to see how clean this saw was going to end up. I might have to take that top cover off because this came off. Let's see if this will do it. So let me get a scrunch here. Okay, let's take this top cover off. Shook. You guys think this thing's going to start? Again, those cases were questionable, but we decided as a group that without those cases, this thing just wasn't as cool. Isn't that what we decided? So we are going to see, I'll put you guys like this, put your light on. We decided that we needed the screw-in caps to keep this thing old school. So remember, I have a part saw sitting just to the left. And Okay, let's do this again. There is some merit to the old saws that had studs in the cylinder. Again, I'm not slagging Stihl, but the old Husqvarnas I like with the studs. Just easy to go back together. I also, like I've mentioned many times, I have sausage fingers, which don't help. Okay. It's all in where you stick your head. And when you're filming, oh yeah, when you're filming, friends, if I have to cut this, what kind of a professional am I here? I'm not a professional, friends. Just some guy in his shop puttering. And we're going to see if we can find some more projects for this winter. I just threw together a new pressure washer because it's something we've needed for years. So definitely going to power wash my trailer and my skid steer and my mower before winter comes. My skid steer needs a bath. I'd also, if time allows, before it gets cold, I'd like to open the chain cases on that thing and have a peek, or at least check the oil. I have a little bit of a chain case leak on the driver's side, and it used to bother me, but I know enough guys that do concrete and that, and they're all like, oh, if a skid steer sits all the time, they leak. Well, mine sits all the time, friends. I don't use it much. I've considered getting rid of it, but it's paid for, and I fired it up the other day after it's sitting for 2 months, and it literally didn't make a full rotation. So it starts like gold. I just ordered a new intake heater for it. We'll have to do that on video. The more you know, the better, I'd say. If you're going to wrench on things, the more things you learn to wrench on, the better. Okay, this is a stock 026 front cover. Now, stock, the only hole is this 3/8 hole right here, and that's what they breathe through. Okay, I ground on this a little bit. There's still some junk in there. Hopefully that'll burn itself out. But okay, stock, they breathe through this 3/8 little straw. All I do with these, I tap or center punch a hole here, and I drill 2 3/8 holes. Okay, that was always my mod. And if you really want to get serious, you can go in here, okay, and you can bend the deflector open a little bit more. Okay, that's what I do to these. Now that used to work good. We'll see if that works good in this case. I have not. The first saw I ever ported was this saw. It was an MS 260 Pro with the decomp, the big bore cylinder, whatever you want to call it. 44.7, I think, is the size of those. And it ran pretty good. Now, I used to port without a wheel back in the days before I knew anything. And then those of you guys that have been around know I met Kenzie through the Facebook and forums, and he used to be Bayou Country Power Saws, and he taught me how to use a wheel on a saw. Now, I learned quickly because I had already done camshafts and things like that on Harley Davidsons, so it kind of made sense to me. I don't like the way this cover is sitting. It seems like, I don't know, if you guys look, it's kind of, there's a couple little things I don't like about this saw. It sits crooked. I don't know if I can even fix that. Okay, friends, now as you guys can see, because there's no trickery here, empty. Okay, it's not a drop in there, bone dry. Okay, nothing in there. I want to do this with you guys. I'm going to put a little bit, not tons, but just a little bit of 45-to-1 fuel. Oh! This thing got stuck open and I panicked. Oh well. Just more fuel. Okay, we're gonna put a full tank in here. Oh, friends, if I had a nickel for... My stepdad was laughing about when I was younger, how if I poured a glass of milk or water or any of that stuff, I would just keep pouring until it was until the milk or whatever was all over the counter. Well, it looks like I still do that, friends. I haven't learned. Let's get some rags, because we're doing this in real time. Let's get some shop rags here and just soak up that fuel. And then, let's see if this thing runs. I really wanted to get this done for you guys. Thank you for your patience. I have completely changed my priorities. My priorities used to be my relationship with my wife, my career, and then YouTube. And now YouTube is down the list a little bit. I mean, I'm still here and I still make videos, but I don't have the free time that I once had to tinker with saws. I'm just going to wipe the handle of this thing down. You guys understand, I'm only having one child, and that's just due to age. So I want to do it right. I want to be around for my kid, because she's 2 already, and I feel like she was just born. Okay, friends, I'm going to set you guys up. Let's see how this thing starts. We'll do a full heat cycle on it. So I'm going to fire it up, keep it going, and then I'll do some carb adjustments if needs be. Okay, are you guys ready? How many pulls do you think this thing's going to be? Yes, I'm wearing a toque because it's getting to be fall already. How did that happen? Okay. So I'm going to put this thing full choke. I'm going to move this here chair out of the way, because that'll throw off my pulling technique. Okay. Now, friends, this thing's got a lot of compression. So I'm guessing it should be a runner. We don't know anything about this saw though, because we couldn't keep it running on the bench. Now remember, I put new crank seals, new bearings, new wrist pin bearing, new piston, original cylinder. I have a new intake, new impulse line, new fuel filter, fuel line, carb kit. We have literally replaced everything there is to replace. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm getting a little scared here. 8, 9. Uh-oh. Do we even have spark, friends? I did not hear this thing fire. Did you guys hear it fire? I know, no pressure, Tin Man. Okay, so that's all hooked up. Let's see what we got going on here. I'm just going to leave the camera running. I'm going to take the top cover off. Hopefully this thing has spark. Okay, top cover's coming off. I'm going to pull the plug here and just see. Forgot to put the chain brake on, so that's a pretty good thing. Do we have spark? Looks like we don't have any fuel. Interesting. I'm sitting here editing. More on this later. It looks like we don't have any fuel. Keep this in mind, friends, as this video goes, because, well, I won't spoil it for you, but it looks like we don't have any fuel. Now, remember that fuel line we were monkeying with? Okay, do we have spark? All kinds of spark. So we are not getting fuel into the cylinder. Now, I would prefer if this saw starts on its own power. I don't really want to prime it right now. I mean, I could. Maybe that'll get it going. But as of right now, okay, the carburetor doesn't seem to be pulling fuel on its own. I'm going to check this fuel line again, friends. Okay, so I'm just going to pull the air filter off. I don't even know if you guys can see what's going on. I'll move this chair again. Can you guys see the bench? Yes, you can see good enough. Okay. Sorry to keep you guys hanging here. I thought this thing was going to start, but just want to check this fuel line again. Could also be a choke issue. No, fuel line looks good. It's not kinked or anything. Okay. Well, I'm hoping this isn't a choke issue, although it might be. Remember, just like the 038, these things have that choke that's integral with the carburetor, or integral with the air filter, and sometimes they don't close properly, and if they don't close properly, well, guess what? You end up with a saw that doesn't start with choke. Okay. It feels like it. One thing you can do, friends, is take your finger and push it up under choke and see. Okay. Well, we got the spark. We know we're not getting fuel. Let's just pull this over a couple more times. Okay, well, so it just didn't want to prime. Now you could hear this thing smoke in there. That's because I turned the chain brake on in order to lock the clutch in place, okay? So now I'm just going to put the top cover back on because it makes the saw look better. This thing seems like it's really, really rich, so we'll tune it. Now I'm going to leave the air filter off. Actually, I guess it doesn't matter. Whoa, whoa! I'm just going to leave this camera running, friends, because, well, I want you guys to see in real time. I don't like over editing things because, well, there we go. Interesting. Okay, let's take the choke off. Okay, this thing's way too rich, so I'm just going to take the low jet. Okay, friends, watch my finger. I'm going to take the low jet and I'm going to turn it in just a hair, okay? Turn it off right now. Okay, friends, this thing's still a little too rich. I'm going to go back and put it at the factory setting. I initially made it too rich so that the saw would start easily. Okay, I'm going to go half, one turn. It says one turn on the side here. Now that's a stock saw. We may have changed things. It may only want to run at 3/4 of a turn. Okay. Oh, the kill switch is not happy either. Now, another thing. So, you just rebuilt your saw. Do you hear this thing? This thing's not running absolutely perfect, right? It feels a little, it's a little sluggish. I'm having a hard time with this, cover here. How come this thing won't come off now? I should probably edit this away. I don't look very professional. Okay, well, we'll monkey with the kill switch later. I'm having a hard time getting this off. Okay, so you just rebuilt your saw. Now notice, this thing's running kind of rich. I'm having to give it throttle to keep it idling. Now, don't get upset. Don't do anything. Just keep the saw running, okay? We're going to run this saw. Okay, I'm just going to run it on. I'm going to keep this thing running and see if it settles down. Okay, friends. I'm going to give this thing a little more idle, just for right now. I just want to get this thing running a little bit better. 3 coils giving me fits. That's what I get for not putting any rope in it. Oh, so friends, I'm going to have to fix this kill switch. It's going off on its own. Okay, I'm going to lean this thing out a bit. I just gave it a little hair in. Okay, so I'm going to try going the opposite end. I'm going to go 1 turn plus a hair, enriching it up some. Now remember, somebody was messing around with this carburetor because it didn't have a fuel line on it, so they may have messed with the idle. The idle seems super low to me right now. The saw starts easy. Okay, ready? This thing's just giving me fits, isn't it, friends? I cut the video there. It just went on and on. More of that until the point last night that this thing wouldn't run at all. And I started thinking, what's going on with this saw? It was bothering me. So what did I do? I put the saw down and I went inside and I went to bed. Now, today, it's the next day, friends. I started thinking, I was doing some work in the yard and I had, a half an hour to spend. So I started looking at this saw. Remember in the last video when I was putting it together and I said, well, check this out, friends. This is probably going to tell the tale of what's going on. Hey, friends, remember this from the last video?
Long for this arrangement. Well, we'll keep an eye on it. We'll see what it's going to do. Okay. So there's that. Little details, though.
Do you guys remember this part?
Let's make that shorter. We'll see how the saw runs. Can always go back in and trim it.
So I was thinking about that last night. I was thinking, what's going on with this saw? And then, is it something I did? And you guys can see the bugs are out. It's nice and warm tonight. I was thinking, is it something that I did to this saw? And it was bothering me. So I jumped back into this thing and started looking at it. And friends, indeed, it was the fuel line. For whatever reason, this old saw, there's not enough clearance for a modern fuel line. And what was happening is the fuel line has to do a pretty sharp 90 as it exits the tank. And then it goes over and then into the carburetor. So I looked at that fuel line and it looked like it was kinked. The other thing is, this morning when I had a couple minutes, I tried to start the saw and it would not run. I checked the low jet setting. I had my low jet at 2 turns out yesterday and this thing still wouldn't run properly. So what did I do? I pulled the spark plug and it was bone dry. And I thought, okay, now this thing's not getting fuel. That's why I keep adding fuel to it. So again, friends, the process of elimination, it's not always an air leak or something wrong with your porting. In fact, it's rarely anything to do with your porting. So I knew this thing was starving for fuel. So what did I do? I put the carb back at 1 and 1. or 1 and a bit and 1 and a bit. I took the carburetor off and I started from scratch again. I removed the fuel line and I started going through. I got all kinds of Stihl fuel lines and different shapes and sizes, but I didn't have one that was going to work. I even have a couple for MS260s, but they wouldn't work in this saw. So rather than giving up, what I did was I took the grommet off of a factory fuel line and I cut the fuel line off of it. Okay. I then took a hole punch and I punched the center where the fuel line would go out and put that into the tank. I then took some like 4mm Echo fuel line. You guys know I love this stuff. I use it all the time. I cut it on a long angle, okay? Fished that little tail through and I pulled it through into the tank. I put a new fuel filter, pulled it back to the length I wanted, and then trimmed it to length and hooked it up to the carburetor. And it fits perfect now. Now, friends, I have not started this saw in 2 or 3 hours. I was just hauling water. Let's see what we got now. Now, again, when you build a saw, sometimes they're a little bit cranky. But 99.9% of the time, when you first start a saw, if it doesn't start in 5 to 6 pulls, 99% of the time you have an issue. That's been my experience, and that's from a dry saw. Okay, I'll stop flapping. I'll move you guys up here. I wanted to finish on a high note. I probably could have made 2 videos out of this, but Okay, friends. Let's put this thing in full choke. And we'll see, does it start? I gotta fix this recoil. And again, that kill switch is still giving me trouble. One more time. Restart. Ready? Okay, friends, so right there, that shows you. This thing idles on its side, upside down, right way up. It's way different saw now. It's idling smoother. You can see it's smoky now. It's not overly rich, or not overly lean. It's a little bit on the rich side, but again, okay, so I just wanted to show you guys that in case you build a saw and you have a little bit of trouble with it. Start with the basics. It's usually something that you did. Don't start going with, oh, it's my porting or this and that. Now, friends, here's the joke. We ported this saw, correct? You guys saw it on video. I ported it. Okay? Half, 1 1/8. That's where the low jet is sitting at right now. Now remember, this thing is not broken in. We're getting some blow by past the rings. Half, 1 1/8. And my high jet is at half, 1 1/8. Okay? So this thing is dialed in. I'm really happy with where the carb's at. And it starts, idles, and runs perfectly now. And again, I mean, so again, friends, I'm super happy. I did heat cycle this. I threw this thing on the ground. I was doing some yard work with the 7.3 Power Stroke. I threw this thing in the gravel on the driveway and just let it idle for like a half an hour, and it just sat there and purred away. To the point I even turned the idle down. So, so far so good. I will have to put some time on this, friends. I have some elm trees. They got the Dutch elm in the south side of the property. I think there's about 9 trees there. We'll take a couple down with this. I actually found, this is from the old days. I have a 18-inch 325 bar for this thing. So we'll throw that on there. If my back starts to complain, well then I'm gonna have to put a 3/8 sprocket on this thing, and I'll probably bolt up my 24-inch 3/8 bar to this and run that. But so far, what do I notice? Well, the porting we did, this thing starts absolutely beautiful. It idles nice. It's easy to tune, and it's very, very alert, very alive, very snappy on the throttle. So that's what I wanted out of this saw, and it's got nice compression, and hopefully, again, we haven't put this thing in the wood yet, but hopefully this thing is a monster once we cut with it. I think it's going to be. We made it flow more air, and we accentuated what the factory already gave us. So anyhow, friends, I hope that showed you guys something. I hope you learned. And of course, we put a couple of decals on there. Couldn't make this stuff happen without Ryan at Wolf Creek sending us the parts. I put a Tin Man Saws decal on there and cable rings. I will probably sign either the handle or the top cover on this saw. And that way, whoever has it, you can use it. I prefer if you used it, but that way you know it's from me. Like I said, friends, I'm going to give this saw away to one of you guys sooner than later. I just want to put a few tanks through it and make sure there's no hiccups. And once I do, I will draw a random person, a random name from the comments in this video series, and I will mail this saw to one of you free of charge. And again, the scammers love to come out when there's a free saw being given away. I will not contact you in the comments in any way other than the normal comments that I do. I will announce the winner, and I will instruct you to email me, and we'll go from there. So anyhow, friends, I'm really happy with this saw. I'm glad we got to do it. And again, I bought this from an auction. Total cost into this saw right now, as it sits, with all the parts, if I paid full retail for all the parts and the saw, I'm into this saw for about, I think it's 218 Canadian dollars, okay? The way it sits, and it's fully ported and ready to rock and roll. I couldn't buy one of these for under $350 in my location, so I'm well ahead. I like to show you guys this stuff because you can find saws for sale, and you can rebuild them and have really nice saws to run around with. So anyhow, friends, thanks for watching. Take her easy, and I'll see you guys in a couple days, either with this saw. It'll probably be with this saw, but I'd like to start another project. Later.